Please excuse the shaky cam on this, but I'm just gonna shoot it real quick. And my dogs, they love to get a hold of those shop towels if I don't throw them away, and they destroy them. And that little cubby underneath there is where they hide out, so I leave that bottom shelf empty. But anyway, these are some RTR HPR 12s, I think. I'll put the right model number out there when I go to shoot this, but these RTR speakers, don't know anything about them. I'll do a gear review on them once I find out a little bit more information. Well, what I'm going to attempt to do is refinish these. I don't want to re-veneer them, but I do want to clean the cabinets up. This cabinet is okay. It's in pretty decent shape. There aren't any huge chunks of veneer missing. The speaker cloths is kind of ratty looking. I don't know if I'm going to replace those or not. I think I'm going to. But this one has some water damage. So what I'm going to try to do is repair the water damage. Now, if I can't, then these may be a candidate for a re-veneer. But what I'm going to do, at least what I'm going to start off doing, is I'm going to sand these cabinets down. So I'm going to take my orbital sander. I've got some 120 grit sandpaper. I'm going to very carefully try to remove the finish on these. I'm not going to film that because it's just going to be me sanding. So I'm going to try to sand. I'm going to start with this one just to see how it goes. I don't think I'm going to be able to remove this water damage, this water stain here, but I'm going to try. And it's not raised or anything, it's not cracked, but it's just, you can see the damage, right? You can see the staining. So again, I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything with this. Hopefully I can. But what I will do is I will come back and I will show you the after I have sanded this. I'm not going to remove the drivers or anything right now because I'm going to remove them when I go to refinish them. I'm just going to start sanding this kind of as is right now. And again, these speaker cloths I'm going to probably replace anyway. So I'm going to jump on this, come back, and we'll show you what that looks like. One thing you have to be very careful about if you're using an orbital sander is getting too close to these edges. So you could remove some of the veneer. So I'm going to focus on the middle with the orbital sander. Then I'm going to take just a sanding block and kind of do the edges. So we'll see what it looks like when I am done. All right, so the speaker's been sanded. I think it's going to be pretty blotchy where the water damage was. So, but I want to see if my assumption is correct. So I'm going to put some pre-stain, some stain pre-treater on it, I guess. And I want to see what happens. This video totally is just me seeing what's going to stick. All right, that's all this is. So I want to move my pre-stain over here out of the way. You might see a dog get into the shot here. What's up, Dixie? All right. And this is the side over here where the water mark is. Yeah, there's a little bit of staining. It's better than it was. You can still see that there's something going on there. But I think that looks a little bit better. I don't know. See what it looks like through the camera. Yeah, you can see that dark spot. So, kind of what I figured was going to happen. But we're going to see if we can do something with that. So I'm going to continue applying the pre-stain. And then we're going to see what we can do when we put some stain on this. Now, I'm not repairing the veneer. There are a couple of spots where it's chipped out. I'm not real concerned with that. There's some water damage down here in the bottom of the speaker as well. But I want to see just how well we can clean this up without going too crazy. Like, I don't want to re-veneer these, or, I mean, RTR speakers, I don't know if anybody knows or cares about RTR speakers, but from what I understand, they're okay. They sound pretty good. And I've listened to these once and they sound all right to me. So this is going to be boring to watch me do this, although I'm almost done. But then I'm going to let the pre-stain kind of do its thing. Figure out when I can apply the stain to the cabinets, and we'll go from there. All right. See you back in a few. All right, so it's been 20 minutes, and need to wipe off any excess. Doesn't appear to be any. And then we're going to apply some gel stain. Chose gel stain because I think it's a little bit easier to work with, and excuse me, I'm just walking over to grab the gel stain. Oh, all right. I already brought it over to where I was going to be using it. So I'm going to pop open the gel stain, and this is just Varathane. I'll show it to you on camera here in a second. Some Varathane gel stain. I need to grab some gloves though first, so I'm going to be right back, and then we'll get into staining this. Now, I'm going to try to make this darker by using this gel stain to try to hide that. I don't think it's going to work, but let's see. And this is just this is a super dark, it's a dark walnut. So we're going to apply the gel stain to the top, and then you let it sit for 2 to 5 minutes. And as you can see, I'm just applying it with this blue shop cloth. I do have some wiping pads somewhere. But again, my hope is if I go dark enough, you won't see that stain as easily. So that's kind of the plan. So once I get this top done, I'm going to go ahead and do the sides. And luckily I have a clock on the wall where I can time what this is doing. And then I'll come over and wipe it off. I think it's going to hide it a little bit, probably not as well as I would hope, but probably as well as I would expect. So let me finish staining this and I'll come right back. All right, well, you can see that, I need to get a paper towel here. You can see that the stain on top is still there, however, and the camera is picking it up a lot more than the naked eye can see it. It has hidden it quite a bit. You can kind of see where there was water damage, it really absorbed quite a bit of that stain. And you can see the original finish versus the new darker. I think I'm probably going to go another coat, maybe. Because again, my goal is to kind of hide that as much as I can. And just really kind of, improve the overall appearance of the speakers. I mean, I think that that looks a lot better than it did. Again, these lights are harsh. The camera's got a really sensitive lens on it, so you can see it a lot better. I think once some polyurethane goes on there, it will hide it even more. So I think what I'm going to do is, now I've obligated myself to doing both speakers now because this is quite a bit lighter, and I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to do this strip independently. You know, and I'm going to pull the drivers out and do all that stuff. I can work on the cabinets without pulling those out. At least that's what I'm doing. So I think it's going to be okay. I don't think I'm going to have to do anything crazy with these. So I'm going to let the stain do its thing. I'm working on another project on the bench. I'm kind of filming both at the same time. So I will come back after I've applied the second coat of stain, and then we'll see what these look like. All right, so this is going to be real quick. Oh, let me zoom out here. Jeez. So I am so sorry for the shaky cam. I'm trying to hold the microphone with one hand and do this with the other. So here are the RTR speakers. The one on the right, I have applied the gel stain to. I've not put a finish on it yet. I'm going to put some hand wipe poly on it. And I did do one of the speaker grill covers, but before I sand down the speaker on the left, which is the unfinished speaker, I wanted to show you the difference between the two, kind of do a compare and contrast. I don't know if I've done that or not. It's been a cold winter, and it's just now mild enough to where I can get to working on this again. So anyway, you can kind of see the difference between the two speakers. So what I'm going to do now is work on the left speaker, sand down the finish, and then apply the stain conditioner, 2 coats of gel stain, and then hopefully I can get these finished here in the next couple of weeks if the weather holds out. If not, I'll have to wait until the spring. But anyway, I wanted to film this before I got started on this second speaker. All right, sorry, I had to make sure my mic was on. So I just wrapped up the RTR HPR 12s. I think they turned out okay. You know, the left speaker is a little bit darker, or a little bit lighter than the right speaker, although they have 2 coats of gel stain and then 3 coats of hand wiped poly. I think that's primarily a function of the water damage to this speaker here, right? So I think that actually absorbed maybe a little bit more of the gel stain, and it's not super noticeable, but there is a little bit of a difference. Now the light is catching that one, so it's going to exaggerate, right, the color difference between the two. But you know, you put them into a normally lit room with a soft incandescent or a soft, you know, LED or something, and I don't think you're going to notice it. My garage lights are like daylight, so I think that makes it look a little bit more inconsistent between the two speakers. The grill cloth on this top one here was the first one I did, and it's got a bunch of dust, and that's why it looks discolored. It's the same material. I just need to like blow them out with my my air compressor and do a little bit more cleanup. Affixing the badges on these grill cloths were pretty easy. So, you know, I had to strip this stuff down, and then you can kind of see I got dust all over everything. And then I just kind of poked that through into the hole that was originally there. One thing about these speakers, and I'm not going to do a gear review on these, they're really, really nice sounding speakers. I don't plan right now on doing a gear review. If you see one pop up, then I change my mind. But one thing to be aware of, if I don't do that gear review, the material for the grills, the frames, it's made of some particle board, cardboard garbage. And I broke one of these. So what I did, because normally, you know, normally you have a couple of different pieces of Velcro, right? So you got, you know, on a cloth this big or a frame this big, you got Velcro here and at the bottom and then somewhere in the middle. I pulled right in the middle, snapped it right in half, and I didn't use a lot of force on it. It just snapped. So I had to glue it back together, and then I reinforced it with some staples. So the bottom line is on these, in fact it was this one, on these, if you come across these, be very, very, very careful if you pull those grill cloths or the grill covers off, right, to look at the speakers underneath. So yeah, this was kind of a fun project. I took advantage of some warm weather. We had like some really, really cold weather, and then we had about, I think I had about a 10-day window to finish the left speaker. So yeah, it was a fun project. I think these are much better looking than they were, right? That dark gel stain really hides some of the imperfections, right, or some of the damage really from once upon a time. So I'm going to wrap this project up. Again, these were the RTR HPR 12 speakers. Big speakers, nice speakers. But again, if I do a gear review, then I'll go a little bit more into detail if I can find any out about these speakers. But they're pretty nice. So as always, if you like what you see, like, hit, subscribe. Catch you in the next video.